Multimedia is one of the most valid and practical forms of time travel that currently exists today. This video, for example, I'm going to be showing you two races, Nations Cup round 2 and 3. The footage that you're watching right now was recorded on November 9th, and today's November 16th. What I'm trying to say is time is a man-made construct. I couldn't agree more, but whether you agree or disagree, these track times are real and we got to get them down. My thought at this moment in the race is that they're going to be coming down because I'm in slipstream, right? But lo and behold, your boy Parquet did not realize that we had nitrous available to us. So I am trying to, race with just pure physics, and everybody around me, got the juice. Check this out. White car, room, like I'm not even there. And that was what a lot of the cars did to me, really. You could just see me just falling, ultimately tumbling down to pee off the screen. Off the screen ultimately equated to a P15 on the starting grid, so I'd be all the way in the back, which in a race like this isn't the worst thing in the world with it being a slipstream train, but it's always easier to win a race when you're starting closer to the finish line. So even though qualifying didn't go how I wanted it to, I have to give a shout out to TK's here, because in between the qualifying round and the race, I popped into his stream and he gave me the little secret of when the nitrous needed to be deployed. And now, equipped with the knowledge I needed to put myself in the best position to succeed, I could settle in, try to find a little slipstream partner to tangle with, and see where the chips fall near the end. Slipstream partner number 1 was Kosian, and our partnership ended because of this, which is one of the leading causes all partnerships in racing end. You hit the traffic that worked too well, it gets to a point where one of us gotta try to win. I decided to take that responsibility upon myself at this moment, and after all of that shakeup, now it's a matter of seeing if that was the correct decision. I end up a Moses maneuver here. We see a Mercedes size hole. We try to go through it, but because of a little bit of contact up front, end up losing a couple attempts there. Nothing major. This is kind of what's going to happen in a race like these. Everybody's jostling for position in the train, and it's almost worth the fight in a race like this. We can see sparks flying everywhere, all the cars bottoming out. This is a lot like a NASCAR race on steroids. They need to put nitrous in NASCAR. I feel like that would be kind of lit. Anyways, you can see here approaching the back straight with no slipstream partner, and the effect of that on my race is nothing short of catastrophic. We'll see as we approach the start finish line here. This first lap was a 4:32, fastest lap being a 4:27. So not only at the same time that I'm finding out 5 seconds off the pace, I'm also seeing Brandon and the rest of the train drive farther and farther away from me. Fast forwarding ahead to the end of lap 3, and look at that, you can't even see a car anymore. It's 2.3 seconds up the road. From a race like this, I really learned about the skill of car positioning and making sure that you're able to hold your place and work together with somebody in a correct way. It kind of challenges the old saying of, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. Because I was alone and went just as far as everybody, but not as fast. Everything wasn't all bad though. Ultimately ended up in P10. Nice little pocket change points, I'd call them, just in case I need them. But with that, let's go ahead and time travel again, hop through the time travel verse, and let's talk today, the 16th, Monza. Group 1 cars, 17 laps, medium tires. The point situation, I'm located in Texas, my Texas, 5th in my city, 28th locally, and we're going to try to do everything we can to maximize our final position. And as for the car, return of a fan favorite, the Parquet 1, or P1 as I'll be calling it moving forward. And we're going to see if we can put our money where our proverbial mouths are and put P1 in P1. We'll be starting off the race in P9, however, and we're going to be dealing with a little bit of strangeness, air traffic control, doing a barrel roll up there, and the rolling start just having some trouble rolling, which would only breed more trouble as we hurl these death machines towards Monza T1. You can probably guess how this is going to end for a lot of folks looking for right before the 100 board there. Everybody's Danny Phantoming and I get bundled wide. It's hard to really blame everybody for all this chaos that kicked off because of the start, but luckily we were able to make it through. We're only down 1 net position and J. Cruz in front of us has a 5-second penalty. But the chaos doesn't end there. Coming into the De La Raja, I missed my braking point and turned into a complete weapon. Do a bit of time traveling, coming back in time, getting reset in the middle of the chicane. The best place, of course, to be reset while everybody's racing. And earning myself a 2-second penalty of my own. Still being a bit dangerous here, hitting the backs of both of my track mates. Luckily, we were all able to get good enough exits out of Lesmo to have everything settle down a bit as we head towards the Oscari chicane. Taking it in 3rd gear for rotation purposes and because I have now front and back bumper damage. But we're able to organize ourselves a bit, make it through there. I serve my penalty, Cruz is behind me serving theirs, and even though we've lost a couple of places, the good news is that we have found ourselves in some clean air. Or so we thought. You may notice a car sitting in the middle of the track not moving. That's a little bit of a holdover from the wonkiness at the beginning. And we'd actually be dealing with that car for a couple of laps as we exited Parabolica. Starting off lap 4 here, Tamayo running past us like we're stood still. And you can guess what's going to happen again here with the speed changes and differences. There's going to be a mess incoming. Ties Danny Phantom right there. Tamayo gets a bit of oversteer, loses the back end. I have a 0.5-second penalty, but somehow am in P6. Ty's fighting back. He has the not Bugatti, basically Group 1 on this. You can break everything down into the Bugatti, which can brake later, but doesn't have the top speed or hybrid, versus the not Bugattis, which are all of the LMP cars, like the one driving past me now. Fast forwarding to lap 6, we find ourselves waking up behind another Bugatti. I'll be here all night. After a bit of what we'll call a bump draft, we make it through the first chicane, and I'm gonna eye up a move. They get it a little bit wrong, going up the inside, and as we hurl towards the De La Raja, it's going to be a matter of half a tenth. That's all that I needed to safely get into 6th place. 6 laps in, all the fighting has to stop eventually, and now is hopefully the time that happens. Let's see. On our first flyer, we get a 36.6. Nice. Second flyer, we're maybe down to 10th right now, but this moment here cost me 5 more of them things. Sad story. Luckily, by this time in the race, we had a pretty comfortable gap in front and behind, so it's not as sad as it felt at the moment when I got the news. Lap 9, it doesn't get any prettier. I take too much of the first part of the chicane there and get myself another second, so it almost feels like I should have maybe stayed behind Bot a lot in the dirty air. Deciding to take a look at the fuel situation on lap 11, my lap times didn't really get much faster, but we notice we're at 4.6 laps, so we're going to have to pit, and we just need to start thinking of when. We're 35 seconds off of the leader, so they're gone, but 3rd place is only 11 seconds ahead, so this may be doable. We get a bit of a nice marker here at the end of the lap. Ty actually going into the pits, 12 seconds in the lead, and this will help us get a good gauge to see how much time is actually going to be lost in the pit stop. A la, how much of a gap do I need to hang on Ty to retain the lead and retain 3rd place for the rest of the race. Hanging a lead like that is definitely easier said than done, but we're off to a good start by getting it done through the first chicane. We're definitely still in a sticky situation with the performance difference in Group 1. It's almost like driving in a multi-class race. I decided to let him through here at the inside, and luckily the oversteer got another one. Let's talk about Lesmo 1 and Lesmo 2 for a bit. In this first race, these were 2 of my weaker corners. You can see there, take those pretty weakly. You really want a minimum speed of, I shoot for around 100 if I'm cooking, for my personal best, but those were the 94s, 95s. Let's see how I do on the next lap. Lesmo 1, minimum speed of 100 miles per hour. Not the best, not the worst. Lesmo 2, however, goes all the way down to 91 miles per hour, which ain't gonna cut the mustard, Chief. That mistake was actually drastic enough to allow Todd to overtake me coming into the Scary chicane, and even though he had a second penalty and I had to get the place back, it still is time lost having to fight and navigate through the chicane. So this is not only for Lesmo 1 and Lesmo 2, but honestly, every corner you take in a race, the entry is important, the exit is important, and mistakes can be punished. Coming on lap 14, Lesmo 2, 97 miles per hour, so we're getting it together, getting a little bit more up to speed, and the leader is actually taking a pit stop. I call pit stops like those Cyrus Nicky pit stops because it's a pit stop the leader gets to take for free because they're so far ahead. Speaking of Cyrus and the NRL, got a bit of a flashback moment here seeing the 1.3 laps flash on my screen. So I won't be making the same mistake this time. I assure everybody there will be a pit stop that has the appropriate amount of fuel for me to finish the race. And I know that said pit stop will be happening at the end of lap 15. Whew, yeah, that I was nervous. I was nervous, but I made sure we got more than enough. We went over the diamond, and we should be able to bring the car home. And after catching up to 4th place, that is exactly what we did, finishing in 4th place due to the penalty King of Clubs picked up. One man's trash, another man's treasure. The highest rated Bugatti in race 1. Let's use our multimedia time travel tools to take us further into the future, from the future, to talk about race number 2. Now, race number 2 was a wild one. Yes, we are starting out with the regular rolling start this time, so that's, regular, but the rest of this race is anything but. As we come into turn 1, I guess this is more regularity. Everybody ghosting, dying, crashing, hitting, spinning. I'm able to dip and dodge out of the way of all of that and get up into P11, and job's not done. Taking Lesmo 2 nice and slow to prioritize the exit speed, and that proves fruitful. I'm able to get in J-Sal's, the Canadians, slipstream, use that to power by, and get the braking just right going into Ascari, nipping up the inside of my fellow American. And after a couple of more, penalties and overtakes, find myself in a very, very well-deserved P6. Things will not stay going as well for me as they did in lap 1, however, and that downfall kind of started now. J-Sal coming right back at me into the first chicane. I try to make it work around the outside, but somebody misses their braking points and hits him. I think he got the wrong idea and thought it was me, and all of the positions that I fought so hard for in lap 1 were, given back to the city on lap 2. Fast forwarding a bit, heading into Lesmo 2, Los Hamilton is ghosted there, so we're able to take that position off of him and settle in behind Ace, who we formed a nice little partnership for the next couple of corners. Able to give him a bit of a bump draft there. I knew it would be all good. That hybrid engine again, you can see there the speed difference, the acceleration, how they're able to just pull away from us like we're slogging in mud. But we're able to make all that time up here on the brakes. You can see coming into the chicane, having to be very delicate, braking a lot earlier than I'm thinking, because they're going to slow down a lot. And again, they just pull away in the straight. We make it up in the braking zone or the slowing areas, and it's really again, very strange back and forth to have to try to deal with over 17 laps here in GT2. I think it was 26 today in GT1, but if I'm wrong, let me know in the comments. Moving into Ascari, Ace was able to jump over our friend Almir here, and that's actually kind of good for us. I think that little bit of fighting slowed Almir down. I was able to latch on to the back of the slipstream, and ultimately Ace still coming through for me. We're even able to overcome, the traffic that usually breaks partnerships like ours up and still stay as a tandem 7 and 8 as we finish up lap 3 and get started on lap 4. Again, more of the same in T1. Ace looked like he was eyeing up a move there, decided to back out at the last second, and that leads to a little bit of squirreliness on the exit and a little bit of congestion between him and I. But as we move down towards the lap, I'm now in the precarious position of trying to recalculate all of my original brake markers now being, behind a LMP car coming into the infield section of Monza. Which, especially in Group 1, we're going hitting speeds of 130 plus miles per hour. That isn't necessarily the easiest thing to do on the fly. It's not just hard for me though, the other cars have to drive differently as well. You can see Ace there being behind the Bugatti this time, I think probably made Les Motu a bit tougher for them, which gave me the opportunity coming into Ascari to take P6 off of them, and more importantly, get behind a car that is, similar to mine. The gap behind me is growing, so I can comfortably look forward, focus on overtaking P5 and seeing if we can continue to move up the grid. Moving forward to lap 7, I was going to get a bit lucky here. J-Sal makes a bit of a mistake coming out of the chicane, and I'm able to take P5 off of their hands. And now P4 is just a mere 1.5 seconds ahead. It's going to be a little bit tough holding on to this position with the 1 second penalty, but my pace is coming down. I'm in the 36s, so the confidence is growing a bit. Serving the penalty close to halfway through the race now, and J-Sal takes their position back, but has a second penalty of their own. So good news for me. If I know if I can keep it close, I can possibly take P5 back, and maybe if we work together enough, P4 can be on the cards. And on the cards, it was coming out of the chicane, J-Sal about to serve the penalty there, so that'll be one free position, but also getting lucky with Speedy 1 having a penalty as well. So this is going to be a nice 2 for 1. I'm going to challenge him going into Parabolica. He sticks the nose up the inside, but I'm staying round the outside. And P4 is mine, all mine. And it was stay all mine as we crossed the finish line, bringing home the P1 in P4 for race number 2. That's a lot of numbers. Let's see what happened in race 3. So for race number 3 and really the full evening session, I decided to try something new. I turned my microphone on and recorded myself to get live reactions throughout the race, and I think a couple of them are pretty funny. Of course, I'll let you, the viewer, be the judge of that, and you can let me know through comments or snail mail or USPS. But anyways, looking into turn 1, somebody misses their braking point, and this really kicks off the carnage. I hit Javs in the side there, and there's really only one way to sum that up.
That was kind of a mess.
A mess indeed. Now, also looking back at the film, I time traveled again. It's Sunday, the day after. Definitely could have waited up. Didn't wait up. I felt like I was forced off the track, but Javs didn't have nothing to do with that. So, Javs, if you're ever watching this, I send my sincerest apologies. Of course, a bit of poetic justice was on the cards for me, though. I missed my braking point here on lap 2, and again turned into an absolute time-traveling sim racer, getting reset before the chicane. Anthony able to capitalize on that mistake and pull into P5. So I'm settled into P6. Chris and Noah are behind me, which feels a bit weird, but we continue to move. Coming out of the Della Raja, I get a pretty strong exit, but the thing I want to highlight is that this is the beginning of a pretty spicy race between me and Anthony. There are two options, two roads we can go down right here. We can work together, try to make up that 9-second gap and fight for the lead, or we can ego child each other, fighting for, P5. Of course, with me being me and Gran Turismo lobbies being Gran Turismo lobbies, we choose the latter, which, while it didn't, put us on the podium or anything, I always love a good race. Looking for the 50 board, coming into Parabolica. Anthony gets it just a bit wrong, and that's enough to bring me within slipstream range. I decide to try to start off on a respectable foot. I know I've been bumping and bashing him, his back bumper, so give him a bit of a bump drive, trying to send the message, hey, let's get on with it. I'm sorry, I apologize, let's do this thing. But I don't think that he took those messages in the way they were intended. Coming through the Della Raja again, and it's just another awkward interaction. He breaks on the apex. I hit him in the back. Wasn't happy about it. Looks like he did try to side swipe me there, but I did, wait up for him, give him the position back. I want to make sure if I do this thing, I do it right. Coming out of the Lesmos there, pretty strong exit, firmly in the slipstream, and I decide to stay on the racing line, don't challenge him going into a Scary, and again, try to pick up as much time as we can. You will notice, however, that due to all of this fighting and back and forth, Racer Dude QC has been able to pull back into my slipstream range, and we have lost 3 seconds to the leader since lap number 2. So nobody wins when the family feuds, and we're seeing that come into play. And things would only get spicier as we come into the chicane here. Tensions boil over for me a bit.
He keeps breaking on the apex, man.
And from that moment on, I had made the decision that I think it's time to end this engagement. At my next opportunity, I'm going to I'm sending it. Shout out to McNaughty, and I'm going for the move. With how our duel has been going, I know turn 1 will not be the best place to go for a move. You can see Anthony cuts left, cuts right, and cuts back left onto me, so they're clearly not too happy with me, and I'm knowing this going into turn 1, so we're going to take it nice and easy here. And one of the things that I've been trying to develop a better habit of is going for my overtakes in, smarter positions. I know that the Della Raja here coming up is also not too good of a place to go for an overtake. He is pretty comfortably in the lead on me there, and just because of all the drama we've been going through there, this was not the place I was eyeing up. But I definitely wanted to make sure I stayed close enough and try to force him into a mistake until the opportune time presented itself. I thought that time would be here on the exit of Ascari lap 6, but it was not the case. Anthony decides to give me a little bit of a nudge wide into the grass, making the lawn folk do some work over the weekend. And not only did that compromise my overtake on him, but it also allowed Racer Dude to come back into the mix. At this moment, I was just trying to gather my thoughts, head down, but you can hear here that I am trying my hardest to think positive thoughts.
Lost too much time messing with this kid.
Clearly, through lap 7, that wasn't going very well, but luckily for me, they make a bit of mistake that allows me to come through into P6, and now at this moment, it's up to me to try to drive away and leave all of the foolishness and drama in the past. And that's exactly what we're able to do. At this point in lap 8, Anthony's 5 seconds behind, and now it's a battle between me and Racer Dude to see who can get a better exit out of Parabolica. Clearly, I was happy
Around the outside.
to not only be able to get the overtake done. Of course, you can see that I was excited about that, but also just having a clean interaction with somebody after so many not clean ones was very nice. So thanks, Racer Dude. I don't do a great job there for turning the favor, but I do lift off there, give the position back. I know that there is a little bit of contact coming out of the first chicane. It was an accident. I promise it was an accident. And as we're going towards the Della Raja again, we gear up for a couple of more spicy corners. Through the chicane, a little bit of contact there, nothing major. I'm able to keep 5th position, but Racer Dude's coming right back at me. Actually, in the Lesmo 1, they're able to get alongside and take the lead through there. Eyeing up a move, however, going into Lesmo 2. This is not done. I know I have the slipstream. We both got pretty good exits out of there, and Ascari is going to be where my next opportunity would arise. Racer Dude goes defensive. We're looking for the 100 board again. Give it the space on the inside. Respect is shown. Again, shout out to you, Racer Dude, for letting me experience a bit of clean racing on the evening. And ultimately, after that back and forth, I'm able to pull off into P5. But as are a lot of things, it's not about getting the position. It's about how long you can keep it. Coming out of the chicane, there was a little bit of contact on the entrance, but nothing major. I'm able to keep the position this time as we head down into Lesmo 2. Looking for the 50 board, a little bit of braking, minimum speed 101, so that one I would categorize as great, and that actually allows me to pull away and add some distance between us. The gap is now hovering around 4/10. Also give you a pretty good run through Ascari here, gaining an additional 10th. So now for all the math wizards out there, we're at 5/10. And I know that that's going to get eaten into a little bit as we head down the longest straights on the F1 calendar. That's not true, but these are the straights that the F1 teams use to set their gearing ratios. A little fun fact for you if you didn't know. But 5/10 proved to be enough to keep us safely away from Racer Dude and in P5. From that point on, things stayed pretty calm until the end. We did have one person leave the lobby, so that gifted me P4, and this P4 was ultimately good enough for 67 points. Not too bad. Now at the end of round 3, we are P2 in Houston, P18 in Texas. I'm still coming for that number 1 spot, even though mathematically it's probably impossible, but you never say never. Going into round 4, we don't know what the car track combination is going to be yet. Polyphony do usually put something new in the game when they don't announce the round, so it could either be a new car, new track, or hopefully a new both. Christmas is coming up, so you never know. But yeah, we're gonna get out of here. This is already a long video. If you're still here at the 30-second mark, you know, definitely leave a comment, subscribe, like, all the interactions. YouTube is all about algorithms and interactions. Really, all social media is about algorithm and interactions. But that's a video for another day on another channel. I'll catch y'all soon. Be well. Goodbye.